We rolling. Apparently, we already have a dislike. Don said, imagine going out of your way to go on and dislike before the show even starts. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Own the Chaos. My name is Brad. That is Fat Man Zoom. The stock market's crazy and chaotic. We made it our mission to help you own it. And Fat Man Zoom, it's been a hell of a day. We got lots to cover today. But first, let's go ahead and hit him up with the starting five.
You got it. Zane Cotton, Sean Ethier, Richard 724, Funny Pranks Gone Wrong, Pastor David Hopper. You are starting five. Guys, we have a good show. EV breakout. I mean, it feels like everything's freaking green.
Yeah.
We've both have a good day, have had a good day. We'll get into that. But EVs are on absolute fire. That's not all, but we got a lot of topics to discuss. You bought Shiba, which I don't want to spoil the surprise, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
And then a couple other breakout opportunities, just random tickers I want to throw out to get your sentiment on. And do we have, I know there's earnings after hours, but are there any ones that are of interest to us?
Not
Chegg.
There's Chegg, and there's actually, I think NXP is a semiconductor.
Okay.
There's another one that's a semiconductor too. I think they might have reported this morning, but I think those are going to be important because they might actually translate to how some of the other semiconductors are going to do right now and maybe in the future leading up to earnings too.
Yeah. So we'll get into all that stuff, guys. Hit that thumbs up if you like this content. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. It's going to be a fun show. It's going to be a great week. We actually just filmed before we came live. We just filmed top stocks for November. So make sure you guys check out that content. That'll be coming out on Wednesday. So if you hit the notification bell, you will be handsomely rewarded.
Shane Haley just said my portfolio fucks today. Mine does too, my man. I think everybody's is doing well.
Yeah, absolutely. What's up, Jose Reyes? And we have a member back to the crew, Luciano Costa. Welcome back to the Chaos Crew.
Hell yeah. Welcome back to the crew.
So, guys, first thing I want to tell you is definitely let us know how you've been doing today. Give us your comments, any questions that are pertinent to the topic that we have on hand currently, because we want to engage you. We want to get you guys into these things. And if you have sentiments on questions I ask Brad, or Brad asked me, definitely throw your thoughts in there. We like to make this interactive and fun. So let's get right in. So what stood out to you today?
A lot. But the main thing that stood out to me was the car manufacturers. Yes, Tesla hit $1,200 today. Freaking believable.
Yeah.
But Ford went off too. Lucid went crazy. It was up 8%. I don't know where it's at right now, but it was over 8% at one point today. So yeah,
They sold off.
Did it sell off? Okay.
Yeah, it's actually down 1.5%.
Oh, no shit. Okay.
Yeah.
I saw that go crazy though earlier this morning. Ford's actually looking like it might hit 52-week highs yet again. It hit it earlier today. Sold off, and now it's coming back. I made a shit ton of money on Ford calls, and then I took all my money and ran. I think that I'll have another opportunity to get back in, but I wasn't expecting the move on Ford today, so I just decided to take my money, roll out, and I'll be back in it at some point.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this with Tesla, with Ford. We actually talked about it in the video that we're going to be releasing on Wednesday.
Yeah.
But this is really there's a wave that all these guys are riding, and I think it's built by Tesla. But this wave seemingly should continue. But when you think about the groundswell, and let's talk about Tesla, because Tesla just launched their pilot for their supercharging stations for EVs not named Tesla.
Yeah.
In Europe. So I think. So obviously that helped out a little bit, and they have a lot of they've had a lot of news that has been coming out lately, in addition to record quarter, in addition to record monthly deliveries, quarter deliveries, all that stuff. They're really firing on all cylinders. And I know the question has come up, really, where can Tesla go from here? Is it a buy? I will say what's most optimistic, because when I asked you the other day, I kind of put you on the spot. About which way this is going to go. Will it hit 1,000, 1,100 first, or 1,000? Because historically, it's been known to sell off. It just hasn't. It really hasn't, and it's been coupled with a lot of good news. Is it too late to buy Tesla?
In my humble opinion, I would not be chasing Tesla all the way up here. And I think it depends on your time horizon. Obviously, if you're long term, then I don't know if it really matters what price you get in at, especially if you're going to keep adding to this. But this is stupid where it's going at this point. And we got to be real with ourselves. We love Tesla as much as anybody else. And Fat Man Zoom and I have talked about Tesla and how much we feel about it. And Don Frown from the Don Frown shows in the house, he's also talked about how much he loves Tesla. But at some point, you got to ask yourself, is this getting ahead of itself? And I think that to a certain degree, that right now in the here and now, it is.
Yes, I agree. And my question really is, when I think about that, is it too late to buy Tesla? Whether the answer is yes or no, the question that comes to mind is, why not something else?
Yeah.
And so like what comes to mind are like, we've talked about these, like the EV charging stations, right? Because if you think about this overall hype, you may be late on Lucid. You may be late on Tesla. And I don't want you to seem late, but you may get in before a pullback and kind of just be stuck. Whereas you have something like ChargePoint, Blink, Nuvei, EVgo, like other beneficiaries, even semiconductor companies, which they're kind of hot as well. But like, there are other opportunities if you believe in Tesla that you can look other places as well.
I love that you brought that up because ChargePoint, we had this on the watch list. Shout out to the Chaos Crew watch list, which this show is brought to you by. If you guys go down to the description and click on the link below, you can get our watch list for absolutely free. Every day we put one out, and this one was on there. We talked about this breakout or trend reversal on ChargePoint, and that $20 was going to be that area that we were watching for. Show enough, Fat Man Zoom, this has broken out and is actually now testing the 200-day moving average.
Yeah, I'm in it. I'm excited about it. It's done well. I would say this week, outside of earnings plays, Palantir and ChargePoint are two that I'm really excited about because they both seem like they're ready. You know, they've reversed trend and they seem like they're ready to break out. So I'm definitely excited about that. And I believe in it. And listen, we're talking about all these cars that are going to be produced and delivered. Who's going to charge these cars? The infrastructure for charging cars, that's going to be the biggest pain point, or the biggest sort of, I think, indicator of success for the industry and how quickly it gets adopted. Because some people are going to be like, well, if I can't access charge stations, like, why am I going to buy this car? So if that's going to be a huge player in this whole mix, not to mention, I mean, the administration's talked about their focus on charging an EV. So I think while you're waiting for things to cool down a little bit, if you're not in it, stuff like Tesla or Lucid, maybe those are good looks.
Yeah, you bring up such a good point. There's this anxiety that a lot of people, range anxiety is what they call it. So
yeah,
I don't, and as powerful as Tesla is, I'm not sure that they have the capability of being able to build an infrastructure to accommodate all EVs. And I don't even know if that's their plan. I don't think it is, even though they're using some of the charging stations to accommodate EVs not named Tesla. It's a tall task to be able to do it for everything. So something like ChargePoint makes a ton of sense, and the movement that it's been making right now certainly justifies our theory on that as well.
Yeah, and definitely some people in the crew are feeling the same sentiments. Cream says EVgo. Rudy Brown says ChargePoint fuel cell and Blink. Jeff Panika said at ChargePoint, the next pullback, I'm going full position.
Full send.
That's what I'm talking about. And I mean, it's really setting itself up for that. There's, they're if ChargePoint had a little bit of pullback, I think that would feel healthy. So
yeah,
I definitely think that's good optimism.
And Tesla too. I mean,
yeah,
that's why we're kind of hoping that we see Tesla pull back a little bit. And that's why we're saying that we think it's getting ahead of itself, because we've seen it make moves like this, and then all of a sudden you blink and it's back down to 800. And I'm not saying that that's going to happen, and it could very well continue to rip up. But we've seen Tesla do this before, where it goes ape shit, and then it comes back down to earth, and everybody's like, well, what just happened? I thought we were just holding on forever. So that's kind of the point that we're bringing across. My question to you is, when would be a good time to get back into Tesla? What are your thoughts on that?
You're the technical man. I mean, I would say the if it comes back to, what's the top of the channel, 1,000?
The top of the channel is, we'll take let me share the screen here. I was like serving it up to you to kick it back to me. but I don't know if I did a good enough job at that.
You asked me a question, and I was supposed to kick it back to you and say, no, how about you? Hey, Brad. Now the question to you is, where's a good opportunity? Honestly, I mean, if it can come back down to 1,000,
yeah,
I would be willing to be patient. I don't know if it will, but it does have that it does have the potential to do that. I wouldn't. It'd have to go below 1,100 for me to even consider it.
Yeah. 100%. I think that 1,000 is certainly on the table. That's the top of this ascending channel, and really the gap fill. The gap in between where it jumped up on that news is actually down here around $900. So that's still on the table too. So I think that anywhere between $1,000 and $900 would be somewhere where I would consider perhaps getting a starting position on Tesla if I was not in it.
The one thing we haven't talked about in a long time is the lithium ETF.
Yeah.
What are your feelings surrounding that? Because that's been on fire, and that could also be another opportunity. Yes.
See what you did there.
Yep.
So lit is actually something that is certainly interesting. The volume has started to increase a little bit on this, and it's still relatively illiquid, but nevertheless, these raw materials are going to be worth investing in. You look at lithium, cobalt, nickel, all of them are going to continue to rise in demand. So yes, I think that this would certainly be something to look at for potential position. I would still wait for a pullback here though too. I think that 87, $88 seems to be reasonable for something that with lit that doesn't get a whole lot of movement out of it. And you can see that it's very, very overbought at this point, much like Tesla is.
Checking in on the chat, Sleepy Hippo XL says he'd love to see 800. Don says 900. Zane Khan 850 900. About 900 are what people are saying would be great this week. Dubai.
Ooh,
I don't know. I think there has to be something in the overall market. The only challenge is though is, I mean, it could definitely come back to 800. I'm not saying it can't.
Yeah,
but there's so much hype and optimism for the next couple of weeks. I just see that being unlikely to come down. I certainly think there'll be some profit taking. But sentiment is so strong, and we're back in that position where people are like, Tesla can do no wrong.
Yeah.
So you either need, I think, an overall market sell-off, like something that has nothing to do with Tesla that impacts the overall market, yields, whatnot, or you really need some bad news around Tesla because they've given most of the information they need to give for the rest of the year. They're going to set a record year for deliveries. They have new business coming in. Like, there's really nothing that could surprise us from a negative perspective. So we know the picture for the year is ridiculously solid.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to ask this though. What is the likelihood that Tesla gives another split next year?
Oh, I feel like I saw this somewhere today. I think it's very likely. I think it's very likely that they give another split. I mean, we're getting close to the price that it was at that when they gave the last split. So why wouldn't they do it again? And they also saw the kind of capital that it raised when they split it the first time. So why not go back to that well?
Yeah. And that was a 5-to-1. I could see him doing like a 2-to-1. I don't know if you would do a 5-to-1 again. You could for sure, but like historically, when you see these bigger companies doing splits, there is potential to like oversaturate and just to sort of like for people to get fearful in the sense of if you do splits too many times, like it's rare to see, but if you do a 5-to-1, you could probably do a smaller split and get away with it and no big deal. But if they would do it, it'd have to be before it hits 2,000.
Yeah.
If you do a 2-to-1, obviously if you do a 4 or 5-to-1.
Last time it split, it was at like 2,400, 2,500 a share.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah. It was over 2,000. I know that.
It went nuts. So, when did they announce it? Was it over $2,000 when they announced it?
I don't know, man.
I don't remember. I think the move over $2,000 was after the announcement, maybe. I don't remember either, but either way, it's up there. And I think that a split could certainly be on the table for Tesla.
Well, and Don said we split last time close to $3,000. We're not close. I don't think their decisions on when to do splits have anything to do. Like, I don't think $2,000 to $3,000 matters.
Yeah.
As far as like in the grand scheme of things on whether to do splits, I don't think they're like, well, it's at $3,000, let's split. I think it's other factors that are more important. General sentiment is probably the biggest one. Like if you're bullish on a stock, if you need capital, or if you just want more, you want to open up the pool to more shareholders. I think those are bigger factors than is it at 2,000 or 2,500. I don't think that really matters. Now, if it's at 1,000, or if it's at, well, let me say if it's at like Apple's at 150, they're not going to split at 150 most likely. But there's some different factors at play that would consider that.
Yeah. I agree. And I think there's a couple of stocks. We've talked about Amazon, but the way that like Nvidia is moving, we could see another one from them, maybe next year if it continues to rock and roll like it is. So who knows what the next one might be. It is funny. I saw somebody, Alonzo, asked, I remember when you guys gave away your Tesla share about a year ago. I wonder if that person still held it. And it's so funny that you mentioned that, Alonzo, because it's this guy, Funny Prank's Gone Wrong, who made a comment just above you. So Nate was the one that won it. I guess we'll have to ask him if he's still holding that.
I'm pretty sure he said he sold it right, like shortly after.
I think he did too.
I thought you said that, Nate. And that wasn't that around $700 pre-split?
Yeah.
I think we gave it around.
It was post-split. It was like in the it was right around this time, I thought.
Oh, it was really? It was post-split?
I believe so.
Okay. Because I was going to say if it was pre-split, $700.
Yeah, no. It was post-split.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it would have been sitting pretty.
It's when we hit 1,000 crew members.
Nate says he didn't sell it. I almost remember you saying you sold it.
I thought so, but maybe not. If he still held on to it, kudos to you.
Maybe you're kidding. Like this video to support Tesla.
Yes, just like it regardless, for whatever reason.
Coinbase. Steven, Coinbase earnings on Friday, pre-market. I mean, I'm really bullish. We've talked about how much we like Coinbase. I expect a monster earnings. I think outlook's going to be very interesting. I want to see how much stuff like Shiba's like inflow is brought in for Coinbase.
Yeah.
But
Shiba outpaced Doge in inflows over the last 2 weeks, I think.
Oh, really? Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, that makes sense. So, yeah, I mean, Coinbase, when you think about all these companies coming public to market, they typically are not profitable. They typically have extremely hot fundamentals. They'll have like high PEs, high forward PEs. And they're really just playing on hype and future opportunity. And Coinbase, even though it's been moving really well lately, it actually fundamentally looks really good, and it's a profitable company. So Coinbase, I think, when you think about sort of fintech competitors in the industry, like they're really well positioned. But again, if you're bearish on crypto, that's going to go as crypto goes. So if you think crypto is going to keep rolling, I think Coinbase should continue to do well. Yeah,
that's the thing, right? I mean, I think when you look at the way that this came into their IPO, it's very rare that you see an IPO that's from a company that's already profitable. And they were already turning a profit before they went public. So I think that obviously speaks volumes. I don't think Coinbase is done. And I think that there's a lot more room for this to go. But we are getting close to where it was around its IPO week, I should say. It came down to as low as around 325-ish in its first week of trading. And then now we're right around that. So it looks good, man. I think we're poised for a potential breakout, especially if we got some good results from them on Friday.
Yeah. With everything being hot the last week or so, I'm waiting for the YouTube videos to start coming out. Is the next crash coming? I just think about it today. I'm like, we're going to start seeing those videos. Here comes the next crash. Is the stock market about to tank?
Yep.
Whatever.
The answer is no.
Housekeeping. I'm in NVIDIA. Holy smokes. I'm nervous. I sold 33% of my position and it's still ripping.
Damn.
I know selling for profits isn't stupid, but damn, do I feel dumb? I mean, listen, NVIDIA, ever since they're split, that's another stock, has just been on a tear.
Yeah.
And I thought there'd be more of a pullback, and there really just hasn't been in general. It's had a couple blips on the radar, but it's just been on fire and continues to roll. But when you think about, I was thinking today, like out of all my Fat Man Zoom stocks, sort of like my bullishness out of the 7, and it always adjusts. And Tesla, I've been most bullish on. It's been my highest conviction. But now that it's so hot, I would say that probably moves down a little bit. And let's just say over the next year or so, NVIDIA's up there. NVIDIA's up there as far as my highest conviction, simply because of all this exposure it has to all these budding industries that they're going to be the leader in. So you talk about gaming, you talk about crypto mining, you talk about NFTs, you talk about autonomous driving, like they're all going to be fire, and NVIDIA is a leader in most of them, if not all of them. So, or will become that. So great leadership, great fundamentals. NVIDIA is another one of those companies that's like great, but doesn't get talked about enough.
No, I agree. I agree on that. And just to kind of touch back on, feeling stupid for taking profits. First of all, taking profits never hurt anybody. So take those profits and don't feel bad about it. I took profits on Ford today, and it might just continue to rip to new highs here in the last few minutes of the day. But I'm not mad at it. I made a bunch of money. I'm going to laugh all the way to the bank. It's really hard to kind of like alleviate that anxiety of being like, oh man, what did I miss out on? And feeling bad about taking profits. But at the end of the day, there's always going to be something else to trade. So I just definitely would not worry about that too much.
Well, and you could look at it that way. Housekeeping, you sold 33% of your position. What if you sold 100% of your position?
Yeah.
Right. Like,
right. You still got skin in the game.
Yeah. You sold a third. So you still have a substantial part of that position. That just seems smart. So if you want to bag hold, go for it. But like, that's in the long term, that's a losing proposition.
Yeah.
Scaling in, scaling out typically, will win. So yeah, don't worry about that. I would never feel bad for taking profits. Lavraj said I sold NVIDIA right before it split to buy Tesla, and I felt dumb at the time. Well, that worked out for you.
Tesla just hit 1202, by the way.
Nice.
About to close at all-time highs. That's wild.
That is wild. I mean, just enjoy the ride, people. Just continue to enjoy the ride. But getting back to, we were talking about Coinbase, getting back to that, let's get right into you bought SHIB.
I did.
Let's talk about that.
So I bought SHIB, and it's really kind of it doesn't have anything to do with fundamentals. This is more of a YOLO play. I threw $1,000 in it, so I have 15 million tokens of SHIB. And so the reason why I got into it was because I saw a little bit of a pullback. We always talk about not chasing things going into big giant green boner candles. And so I waited for an opportunity to just kind of see what was going on. Saw it kind of turn the corner a little bit yesterday and into today. So I ended up taking a little bit of a chance on it. One thing that I'm actually banking on, though, Fat Man Zoom, and you brought this up last week when Robinhood had their earnings, and that was that Robinhood, you were hoping that Robinhood would disclose that they were going to allow SHIB to be traded on their platform.
There are rumors that actually today that would be announced.
Yeah. So that's what I actually ended up getting into SHIB for, was because of the potential inflows for something like SHIB, especially if a platform like Robinhood starts to allow it to be traded on their platform. And that was it.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only reason that I decided to get into it. Obviously, the super cheap price makes it attractive, and there's a lot of what ifs you can throw into your mind on owning 15 million of anything. So that's one of the big reasons why I got into it. And, listen, if I lose the money, I lose the money. But the risk reward seemed worth it. Seemed like it was worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's safe to say that if Robinhood does add it to the platform, it's like a no-brainer that's going to go off. I don't see how it can't. Like, how can't you? If you're working for Robinhood, like, not only that, but any future coin, you need to be on top of getting that out as soon as possible. And I know they talked about some, I think it was like regulatory issues or capital issues. I don't know what it was that they said precluded them from doing, from adding SHIB. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Coinbase launched just fine. I don't know how that works. I haven't really researched it, but the reality is you can make it happen, make it happen.
Well, SHIB broke Coinbase last week. So there's that, and maybe Robinhood's worried about some of the issues that they've had as far as volumes are concerned. Or who knows? Maybe they're preparing for that. Maybe they're trying to prepare themselves for the volume that could come in from Robinhood users to go buy SHIB. But I think that they would be stupid to not do it. I understand some of the reasons they explained on their earnings report were that like they're trying to not fall victim to some of the meme type stuff, but that's on them. That's the environment that they built for themselves. So if now you're going to completely abandon it, like I don't know if that's a good business move on your part. Like you've already made the bed, you might as well lie in it at this point.
Yeah. So we'll see. Brad officially from, I guess, 2 weeks ago to now, he had 0 crypto. Now he has 2 positions. He has 2 holdings in Bitcoin and Shiba.
Yeah.
I will tell you, with all the metaverse talk, with just the general hype around crypto, and I'm happy Ethereum's low key. I'm just so hyped because the rumblings are starting.
Yeah.
More conversations around Ethereum, things built on Ethereum blockchain. I'm hype. I feel so good about Ethereum. It's silly. I'm so good. And it's something that actually has use case, which gets me excited.
Has use case, and we're close to all-time highs on this. This has actually been holding above 4K really well.
This boy's gonna blast off. I feel it in my bones, people. But I am excited about Coinbase earnings this week. That's the whole point of all this. I'm really excited about it. I think they do have a blowout. The thing is, again, I just want to hear what they have to say moving forward and what's their outlook as far as towards the end of this year, but really more importantly to next year. I don't see it slowing down, Brad.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, when we've talked about this, I think Bitcoin's to 100K. I think Ethereum could hit 8 to 10, in relatively short order. So, yeah, I think it's risk on for crypto.
All right, as we're about market close, I did
look at this. Ford's going to 18 right into the close.
Nice.
Tesla's at 1207. They're both going to close at highs of the day. Insane.
I thought about bringing this up, and I just wanted to shout out a random stock. I thought about bringing this up on our top stocks for November. I didn't really, but Fubo went off today.
Yes. And
I'm just wondering what your sentiment is around Fubo. Like, kind of largely, they're leaning into sports, streaming. They've been, they've been beaten down.
Yeah. This was a SPAC play, right? Or did they just go public?
Man, I feel like it was, but I don't remember now. But somebody in the chat will tell us.
I thought it was a SPAC play.
I think it was. Yes, merged with Virtual Entertainment.
Okay, I thought it was. Yeah,
I forget what the ticker was. But are you sold on Fubo?
I am. I think that Fubo has actually come down to a reasonable level. And I think that the growth here is certainly huge for Fubo. They've made a lot of really good partnerships. Their big cash cow is really revolved around soccer. And from a global standpoint, that's huge for them. I think that if you're gravitating towards Fubo, it's typically because you're a soccer fan, but Fubo is working their way into other stuff as well. But yeah, I think that even from a technical standpoint, this is, and we had this on the watch list. Again, shout out to the watch list. If you guys want to become part of one of our Chaos Crew members, go to ownthechaos.com. The link's in the description. You get the watch list for free, and Fubo was on there. We talked about this trend and how it broke up over that. It was moving down over the last several months, started to break that. It's now up over the 200-day moving average and has held it beautifully. And the moves today just further supports our bullish stance on Fubo.
So it is official now that we're closed. This was the best day for small caps since August. And we've talked about some like speculative stuff.
Yeah.
That has been struggling and has been beaten down.
Yep.
And we actually saw the likes of like Apple and Amazon didn't really do too well today. General Tech. Do you think this run keeps moving with the small caps?
Yes. And I the IWM if you guys aren't familiar with, it's the ETF for the Russell 2000, all small caps. We're on the verge of a breakout here. I think that if we get up over 234.53, which is the all-time high for IWM, we're really close. It closed at 233.95. What a massive day for the Russell. I think we could certainly see a breakout, and the earnings are going to further support that. I think we're going to see it.
Yeah, I've talked about this previously. I just believe like so many things are near 52-week highs, and I'm not saying they're overvalued, but with so many things at 52-week highs, there are definitely a lot of stocks on discount out there that I think it's only a matter of time where money starts flowing into those and people realizing how undervalued they are.
Isn't it crazy to think that we've seen all-time highs in the indexes?
Yeah.
It seemed like every other day we were seeing it in October, but there's still a lot of stocks on sale out there.
I mean, you look at Rocket, who had a pretty good day and has always stayed in that range.
Yeah.
You look at Rocket, for as much as I love Clover, it has a fair bear case, a strong bear case. Rocket is profitable. They're proven. They continue to grow. They just announced a partnership with Salesforce, which or increased our partnership, which led to this move. But like this one again, like it just befuddles me.
Yeah. 100%.
Jubei said Amazon should buy Fubo, which I love that idea.
Me too.
I think that's a really great idea.
By the way, the Amazon, we've talked about Amazon and they're streaming the Thursday Night Football, and I had mentioned about Twitch. First time I saw this, and I don't know how long they've been promoting this like this. First time I had push notifications, and I got an email. I got all kinds of stuff from Amazon about Thursday Night Football being streamed on Twitch. It was streamed on Twitch this past Thursday.
Oh, nice.
So I don't know, like we've talked about how that they could leverage that for their sports. I don't know how long they've actually been streaming the actual football games on Twitch, but I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we got to start hearing about what they're going to do with Twitch and how they plan to execute that.
Yeah.
And obviously it's got to boil down to how are they going to drive revenue? Where's the revenue going to come?
Yep.
So you've talked about that a lot. I think it's definitely certainly a possibility. And we're going to talk about earnings in a second. Jeff Manika said, I love the Chaos watch list. Appreciate it. Gives me an opportunity to talk about the Chaos Crew watch list. Guys, we send out a free daily watch list of 5 stocks we're watching before the market opens. If you're interested, check it out. The link is in the description. You can also go to onlychaos.com, click the button, get a free watch list. Free watch list, and we do pretty damn well if we don't say so ourselves. So definitely check out the free daily watch list.
I don't know if anybody cares, but I did trade Simon Property Group earlier this year around April, May. Saw a lot of potential in this. It's continued to rip up. Today they had earnings, and it looks like they might be in as well.
Nice.
Just hit $150 a share. If you guys don't know anything about Simon Property Groups, they're essentially a REIT. They're surrounded around commercial property for malls, other institutions like that. So the stocks continued to rip up. We'll take a look at this right here. This is the 1 minute chart. Just hit 150 after hours. And I don't know I think that's 52-week highs. It is. So they closed at 52-week highs today. Another one in the Russell. And looks good. Looks good. Clorox also had earnings after hours. Was there any other ones that really stood out?
We mentioned Chegg, and you said the NXP.
Oh, yeah, Chegg. Pull that up. Ooh, Chegg's down 15% and falling.
Wow.
Yikes. Let's come out to the 1 minute chart and continue to keep an eye on it. Good Lord. There's Chegg. All right. And then the NXP. Semiconductors. NXPI is a ticker for NXP. And that's actually up after hours. Looks like we got some movement on that too. Simon Property, says Don, where you go to get shot. I mean, Simon Property's got properties all over the country, but I mean, it doesn't surprise me coming from Kansas City. Not that we have a whole lot of room to talk here in Baltimore, but yeah, NXP Semiconductors is actually making a pretty decent move. Now it's up 1.5% after hours. Look at Chegg. Good God, bro. It's now down 17%.
Yeah, the numbers are in. They Earnings per share estimates were 20 cents. It actually missed, came in at 5 cents. I'm waiting for revenue, seeing if I can get these revenue numbers. Yeah, sales, they also missed. So 174.5 million, where the estimates came in at 171.9.
Yikes. That is tough.
Yeah.
This was such a huge stock during COVID, during the pandemic when everything was locked down.
Chegg was education, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they online education and all that good stuff.
Yeah, that's a question I've been asking myself, is these stocks that were hits during the stay-at-home, when are they going to come back? Because they will.
Yeah.
Online education seems like a bit of a challenging space, but when you think about Zoom, you think about Chewy, you think about Peloton, you think about these, like, especially like Peloton and Zoom are going to be in our lives for a long time.
Yes. Peloton's got earnings this week too. So
yeah, Peloton's earnings are on Thursday. So yeah, I mean, there will be a time, but unfortunately, I'm not sure when that's going to be.
This thing is in straight up crash mode. There's got to be something else in that report. It's down 20%. God. And it had a hell of a close today too. It closed at 62. It was up 5.5%. It's now down below $50 a share.
Oof. I am doing an earnings play tomorrow. Under Armour pre-market earnings. I actually bought a call spread for
Under Armour.
For Under Armour, dollar call spread.
Okay.
So we'll see how that goes. Just needs to be above 1950.
Oh, NXP is now falling after it started to move up.
How do you like that, Don? Do you approve of that?
Call spread on Under Armour. Looking at Under Armour today, it actually looks good. It's had some pretty solid movements. Retail has been great. It's really started to have a comeback, and I think Under Armour is way undervalued for one, but it should be above 20. 1970s resistance there. It's at 1902. It's 1918 after hours, but it's closed back up over the 50-day. And I like this. I like this play a lot. We like our Under Armour.
That was actually one of the questions. It's one that I wanted to bring today, and it was my thought process in starting in Under Armour. I was in Foot Locker, and I'm just wondering, Foot Locker fundamentally looks good. I'm just worried about when you think about the supply chain issues and working downstream.
Yeah.
The manufacturers are having challenges with supply chain. Now you think about then Foot Locker, and it's making me want to shift out of it. And I'm like, I said a stop. I said a pretty liberal stop because I still believe in Foot Locker. They're also trying to launch their own line of like casual athleisure. But I worry that because they're so far removed from the supply chain, they're going to sort of be the last ones to get anything. So until that's relieved, I think there might be some more pain for Foot Locker in it, and maybe it makes more sense to look at the stuff like Nike or Under Armour.
And Nike's been making a hell of a move since their earnings, and they disclose a lot of these issues that they've been having. But I think the sentiment is that everybody's realizing that these are temporary issues. And so any kind of move down on some of these retailers that have expressed some supply chain problems are areas of opportunity. And we've seen that across the board. Demand's still through the roof on these things, these stocks.
Yeah. Why are there two stocks of? Why are there two Under Armour? So there's UA and UAA.
Yeah.
It usually boils down to like voting rights. I mean, Google has GOG, GOGL.
Yeah.
Jeez. There's different classes of shares.
Berkshire A, B.
Yeah, there's a bunch of companies that do this. It's more about voting rights, and I think more insulating, like, I guess decreasing the likelihood of like takeover or taking the company in a different direction. You just want to look at which one has more volume and liquidity. I mean, that's really the key, because it doesn't matter. You just want to consider, okay, if I need to get out of this or I need to trade this, what's the likelihood of doing that? There's typically a little bit of a premium on one or the other, but really not a huge deal either way.
Yeah, UAA, I think, is the one that a lot of people flock to the most. I always trade Under Armour like the UA, but it doesn't really matter in my opinion. You look at this though, and the charts look relatively the same. Here's UAA; it's priced at almost $22 a share, and UA is at 19, and it's relatively the same chart. There's just a little bit slight difference in price.
Yeah, and I'm just UAA is 5.9 million average trading volume. 2.8 million is UA.
Yeah. So that's not surprising.
When in doubt, buy more Amazon. Yes, absolutely.
Yep, that's pretty much the answer.
That's so random because I just got an LinkedIn notification about Amazon hiring a senior executive coach for executive development.
Oh.
If you guys are interested,
Ooh.
I thought it might be something like exciting, like head of crypto.
Fat Man Zoom be all over that. Ooh, hey, Clorox. Lots of negative sentiment around Clorox. They're up 2% after hours right now. Lots of negative sentiment on whether or not Clorox is going to be able to overcome some of the increased prices in chlorine for their Clorox bleach products, and the stock is up 2% after hours. I'm going to take a look. We're going to bring us back here. This is a 5-minute chart on Clorox. Huge spike on that. Curious to see why. But there's the 1-minute chart, and it shot up to 170 after closing the day at 160 and 54 cents. 163 and 54 cents. It's still climbing. Now up almost 3%.
Don always just repeating. The whole is about hype.
Simon's also moving up here after hours. Simon Property Group making a hell of, 2.5% now. Clorox now up 4%. Whew. Pretty solid moves. These are, well, Clorox not so much, but Simon Property Group is another reopening play that we talked about, like I said, back in April, and I traded it myself. Just wasn't moving like I wanted it to back then, but obviously has made really nice, steady moves up. But these reopening plays that have continually gotten beaten down that aren't anywhere near what they were pre-pandemic are definitely going to continue to be good, solid buys. And when we look at, we've talked about this, Boeing and Spirit Air System, those two that deal with the airline industry and manufacturing in general, a lot of them are still not anywhere close to their pre-market highs. So people that look at some stocks that you might see a lot of that seem to have gone just straight up, think that maybe there's nothing left, but there's plenty of stocks that are still on discount and aren't anywhere near what they were before, January of 2020.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that we're definitely going to keep monitoring and keep see. You repeated the stock, what was it? The one typically has voting rights.
Yeah.
I was just laughing. I'm just looking at the chat right now. Funny pranks gone wrong. Hi guys, it's me again, Nate. I'm looking to start putting together a dividend portfolio. Any suggestions on what to get? Maybe check out our dividend bot. We have a dividend bot. Usually the ones you hear about, which Don mentioned earlier. I'm a big fan. I think
Maine's a good one.
Maine's a good one. I think just thinking about a well-balanced, well-diversified, some monthly, some quarterly, some different industries. You just mentioned last week, energy's doing well. ExxonMobil, Chevron, they had great earnings.
Yep.
That has like a 4 or 5% dividend yield. Verizon's been kind of beat down. There's so many opportunities out in dividend world right now, but you'll see, any standard Google, you'll find that type of stuff. But just finding a mix. And I think the one thing I would encourage anybody with a dividend portfolio is to mix in some growth. To mix in, like, even if it doesn't matter if that, in our dividend portfolio, the first one didn't include any growth and we added like Apple into it.
Yep.
It has a like small dividend. I think it's like 0.8% or whatever it is. But the point is, like, you can actually have some value growth as well, in addition to the other dividends you're trying to get. So it could almost, in the meantime, while you're having it coming in. But really, I think the bigger thing is, I would say growth, diversification, and then making sure you strategize like when those dividends are going to come in so you can have, recurring income always coming in, which will help with your dollar cost averaging.
Yeah. And we specifically for our trading bot and the dividend bot, we like to go after dividend aristocrats.
Yeah.
Stocks that are companies that have not given up their dividend over the last 25 years and actually increased it every year for the last 25 years.
Which you guys can Google, or when you YouTube, if you go on the short search bar, Own the Chaos, Dividend Aristocrats, we did a video when we were deciding what was going into it. So certainly check that out.
Yep.
My favorite dividend stock is Tesla. It just doesn't do it yet.
Yeah.
It's going to be a long time before Tesla gives any kind of dividend.
It's got to stop growing like it is.
Yeah. AT&T, a popular one as well. So there's definitely some good stuff out there, especially when you think about AT&T and Verizon have both been beaten down.
Yeah.
And
I picked Verizon.
You've talked about 5G and the opportunity in 5G. And I think next year the conversation is going to come back to 5G because it's kind of fizzled out a little bit. But I think that hype's going to come back and there's going to be a huge opportunity.
COVID slowed down the development of 5G and really kind of like the adoption of it.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, if you guys out there have a 5G phone, you know what I'm talking about. Like the speed on 5G in general is just mind blowing. Not just from on your phone, but when I use it as a hotspot for my computer, it's like almost as good as what I have at home. I mean, the speed that I get through my computer is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So,
I just want to mention something real quick about earnings tomorrow. So pre-market earnings, we have Pfizer, Corsair, BP, Under Armour, ConocoPhillips, Ferrari. Those are kind of the ones we were looking at. And then after hours, which will be live tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe and notification bell. But we have Activision, which I know a lot of Chaos crew are in that. Excited about that. I am actually excited about that. Zillow, T-Mobile. Those are kind of the ones for tomorrow. But I wanted to just get your thoughts real quick on BP. Pre-market tomorrow. It's something I've been in. Very good fundamentally. They were early in saying, hey, we're pushing towards the clean energy. We're investing a lot in clean energy. Would you be concerned? Because I am. I'm in it. But would you be concerned about the lockdowns in Europe? Because some countries in Europe faced more lockdowns than other countries in other areas. And BP has such a heavy exposure in Europe. Would that concern you going into these earnings, given that logically we should expect BP to do well with everything going on? But would you be nervous about that?
I think that there's a certain level of concern that maybe you would have with that, but overall, no. And you look at the way that this has moved relative to the price of oil, and it's done just that.
Yeah.
And it's come down and actually tested this 28.50 mark to market as support. I mean, this is a previous high here, and just on Friday it came down to retest, and we've seen a nice, decent bounce. So technically speaking, it looks great. Fundamentally, I think it's good. We saw that, the UK, and we got plenty of people across the pond here that were talking about that they couldn't find oil anywhere.
Yeah.
There were some oil shortages, which only pushed the price higher. So I think that BP is actually going to be in fine shape. And I'm sure that their guidance is actually going to be quite good as well.
Yeah, and see if they spend some of the money. They already have a 4.5% dividend yield.
Yeah,
maybe they increase that. Remains to be seen. Two things I want you guys to think about, and we should probably talk more in depth. Maybe do a pre-recorded in the future.
Yeah,
guys, it's time to start thinking about tax loss harvesting. Now is the time. Where you're thinking about write-offs, where you're thinking about exiting a stock, be smart about that.
Yep.
And then the other thing is, speaking of dividend stocks, especially those monthly dividend players, the REITs in particular, Maine, and December is when they start giving their special dividends. So they're required to give away a certain amount of money. And usually they wait till December to figure out what the excess is.
Yeah.
So those are two things you need to be researching if you haven't. And you need to be creating a plan for. If you guys want to know more about it, let us know. But I know we always talk about wash sales, about tax loss harvesting. Tax loss harvesting, I would argue, is just as important or more important than any stock that you pick, because you're thinking, $3,000.
Right.
You got $3,000 and you can write off more in the future. You can carry that over. But for some of you guys that have smaller accounts, that's big. That could make a big impact. So just start thinking about those things. I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all I got, man.
That's all I got as well, guys. We're going to do it all over again tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. Eastern time. If you joined us for the first time ever, we encourage you to hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell, because we're going to do it again if you enjoyed today's show. And we'll be back tomorrow. It's going to another good round of earnings tomorrow. We'll give our reactions to. Not much going on today. We mentioned Simon Property Group. That's up 3%, by the way, after hours. And then Clorox is up now 5% after hours. So those are actually pretty good ones. We didn't really go into those in too much detail, but definitely a good sign there for the week to come. I'm super excited about this. So if you guys hit that thumbs up on your way out the door, we certainly would appreciate it. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye. Peace.